Hello, welcome to Renee Rose Creative Cafe. And I'm a bit worried speaking about this to you because this can happen to anyone on this planet. Imagine stepping onto a plane after a relaxing vacation in Phuket, settling into your seat and expecting a smooth 4-hour flight back home to Delhi. The cabin crew smiles, the engines roar to life, and the aircraft lifts smoothly into the night sky. Everything feels completely normal. Thousands of feet in the air, the plane suddenly drops 300 feet in a split second. Trays fly, loose belongings float in the air, passengers scream, and unbuckled crew members are tossed against the ceiling. At first, everyone assumes it was severe weather or sudden mid-air atmospheric turbulence. But as investigators began pulling back the curtain on Air India flight AI2379, they uncovered a story far more alarming than bad weather. One involving an incapacitated captain, a brave, young co-pilot, and a failed drug test that sent shock waves through the aviation industry. The flight that changed everything. On August 4, 2026, Air India flight AI2379 took off from Phuket, Thailand, bound for Indira Gandhi International Airport in New Delhi, with 145 people on board. Cruising smoothly at over 36,000 feet, the aircraft was making its way across the Bay of Bengal towards the eastern coast of India. In the passenger cabin, people were resting, reading, or watching movies. But inside the cockpit, an eerie and dangerous situation was unfolding. Reports from the cabin crew and initial investigative details revealed that the pilot in command, the senior captain in charge of the entire flight, was behaving strangely. Witnesses later noted that he appeared disoriented and unsteady on his feet. At points during the flight, he was reportedly sitting on the cockpit floor rather than in his command seat, and cabin crew members had to assist him back up. Now, what about the terror? The 300-foot plunge. Around 9:32 a.m. IST, as the plane flew near the coast of Odisha, catastrophe struck. The Air India suddenly suffered a sharp, violent loss of altitude, plunging nearly 300 to 360 feet in a matter of seconds. This sudden drop created what pilots call negative G-force, a moment where gravity momentarily reverses inside the cabin. Inside the passenger area, anyone who wasn't wearing a seatbelt was lifted right out of their seat. Laptops, food trays, and bags slammed into the overhead bins and aisle floor. Down the aisles, 4 cabin crew members were thrown off their feet, and 20 passengers sustained painful injuries, including spinal impacts and severe bruises. Inside the cockpit, the situation was just as chaotic. The captain, who was standing behind the co-pilot's seat at that exact moment, was thrown onto the cockpit floor as instruments flashed multiple warning lights. With the captain completely incapacitated, the entire weight of 145 lives rested squarely on the shoulders of the first officer, the young co-pilot. While master caution alarms buzzed and the aircraft rocked, the co-pilot remained remarkably calm. He manually disengaged the erratic autopilot, stabilized the control stick, brought the nose of the Airbus A320 back level, and steadily brought the aircraft out of its dive. Single-handedly managing the controls, checking system diagnostics, and keeping ground control informed, the young co-pilot navigated the remaining flight path all the way to Delhi. He brought the plane down smoothly at Indira Gandhi International Airport, landing safely while medical teams rushed onto the tarmac. Standard operating procedures dictate that whenever a serious operational incident occurs, the flight crew undergoes immediate medical evaluations. Typically, pilots are given standard breathalyzer tests to check for alcohol. However, given the crew's feedback about the captain's erratic behavior, aviation authorities took the unusual step of ordering a full psychoactive substance test, which is a dope test. The initial post-pilot screening returned a non-negative result for the captain. The sample was immediately dispatched to a specialized laboratory for confirmatory testing. A few days later, the confirmatory lab results came back positive. The commander in charge of a commercial airliner carrying over 100 passengers had operated the aircraft under the influence of a psychoactive drug. The investigation deepens when questioned by the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. The captain claimed he had been suffering from severe sleep issues during his layover in Phuket due to personal stress. He stated he had taken medication prescribed by his family doctor and claimed he had slept briefly in the cockpit during the flight. However, civil aviation regulations strictly require pilots to declare any prescription medication to their airline prior to flying, as many common sleeping aids or anti-anxiety drugs impair reaction times and decision-making skills. India's Directorate General of Civil Aviation (DGCA) immediately grounded both pilots pending the complete inquiry. Top aviation officials summoned airline executives to review safety protocols, medical testing routines, and crew support systems across the company. Under current aviation rule, the first offense is that a pilot testing positive for psychoactive substances is removed from duty and referred to a mandatory de-addiction and rehabilitation program. Second offense: if caught again after returning, their flying license is suspended for 3 years. And the third offense: permanent cancellation of their pilot license. However, because this incident directly involved passenger injuries and endangered a commercial flight, legal experts note that the captain should face separate criminal charges. Key takeaways for aviation safety. The purpose of creating this podcast is to bring about awareness. This incident serves as a big pedestal, a pathway to understanding how we need to be very careful about certain things, especially while traveling. This incident serves as a crucial wake-up call for airline safety. Here are the key awareness points every passenger should know. Why seatbelts matter even in cruise. Turbulence or sudden altitude shifts can happen in a split second, even when the seatbelt sign is off. Keeping your seatbelt loosely fastened whenever you are seated is the single best protection against sudden drops. Redundancy saves lives. Commercial airliners always carry 2 fully trained pilots. The presence of a competent, clear-headed first officer prevented what could have been a catastrophic tragedy. Strict zero-tolerance regulations. And we should also remember, aviation authorities rely on rigorous pre-flight and post-incident testing to ensure that those sitting in the cockpit are always in peak physical and mental condition. Through quick co-pilot action and strict post-flight protocols, a major disaster was averted, pushing regulators to enforce even tougher safeguards for air travel worldwide. Of course, this calls for action, because there are things that needs to be checked. Every turbulence, every accident reminds us to further secure air travel and also make sure that passengers ensure their safety through these simple yet prominent steps. Take care. Till I meet you with another episode, this is bye from Renee Rose.